Cool. I'm gonna come on around over here. All right. So, quick little. I'm going to acknowledge people first and get right into it. So, of course, I am your host, the Bear Jew, right? This kind gentleman knows me as something else. We didn't pick out a name for you, but we'll get to that. But this is my buddy Mason. Went to high school with this very kind gentleman, but that's really all I really want to say. Mason, why don't you introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah, so I've known Pierre since, or the Bear Jew.
Really? Middle school?
Since middle school, it's about 6th grade. So we go back a couple, at least 13, 14 years, something along the lines of that. So he brought this to my attention about a month ago, and I just wanted to, how about a buddy? So here we are. And,
oh man, hey, I really
glad to be here.
First and foremost, I really do appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Like I think it's great. I remember one of my first real memories with you was
Want to play football?
was football.
Oh yeah, I remember that. We were playing with Ben and all that.
Ben.
Yeah.
And then like I didn't really know you. Like I saw you around, but I didn't know you that well.
Yeah.
And so then I just see you with this knee brace, and I remember
tackle football.
We were playing tackle football as middle schoolers would. Back whenever we went, and freaking, I remember seeing you with a knee brace.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I could probably hopefully outrun him. Like, I'm good. You smacked me so hard.
Oh man.
But you were actually playing football.
Yeah.
Like you were actually playing football.
We were. Well, it was me and I think one other person there. We were playing at the time, but yeah, it was funny when we were talking downstairs before all this. I had that quick thought in my head, and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't even know if he remembers that. But I mean, it was like, I remember hitting you, and I remember like I turned around and the guys we were with, they were like, oh my gosh, are you okay, man? Is everything okay? Yeah, that was good.
Bro, like I laugh about that a lot in my head.
Yeah.
Because I do run that moment in my head because I remember seeing you like hobbling at me. And like you do this whole number where you like, and then like I kid you not, I flew like 10 feet.
Yeah, I mean it was like
easily, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it was funny. I mean it was
great. You're like, that was funny.
It was good too because I mean at the time I was 130, 140 pounds maybe. I was a smaller guy, so I don't know. I thought it was funny.
You got me good, man.
Yeah.
You got me good. Like everyone, like just like you said, they looked and then they were like,
"Jeez, like that actually happened."
Like, did Pierre just die? Because I remember some people explaining how like I was having like a mid-air seizure.
It's funny that you're bringing all this back up because I completely forgot about it.
Yeah.
As far as like the details of it up until now.
I can't forget my first taste because that was like my first real like taste of football because I'm like in middle school, even in elementary school, I was taller than my elementary school teacher.
Yeah.
So I'm taller than most of my teachers throughout middle school.
Yeah.
Right? So then, in my head, and I used to play football a lot with these guys, and just in my head, I'm like, they can never tackle me, or it takes multiple people.
Yeah. So
I'm just like, whatever you got, like, I could probably shake it off. Nope.
Man,
I flew.
Yeah.
It was good times.
For sure, man.
Simpler times, man. Simpler times.
Yeah, a lot better than how it's going now. So, but that's a discussion for a different time.
For a different time, indeed. For a different time, indeed. If in case you guys didn't see, please check out my video on how to survive the rest of 2020. I feel like there's some good advice there for anybody. So I reiterate the offer. If you guys ever want to talk, I have Discord. I have different means of social media. Hit me up, and be more than happy to just share a moment with you guys and make sure y'all are doing well. So just let me know in the comment section. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and we got a good one for you today. We got a really good one for you. So Mason, I explain in my videos a lot how, bro, I live in a different world, and sometimes people are like, yo man, like this is incredible, like I don't believe I'm here. And I mentioned before, I mentioned to you before I started talking, like some of this stuff gets like a little rough to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Simply because whenever you look at those things and whenever you recant those memories, just what exactly happened is just so freaking real,
Mm-hmm.
right? So there was this time that we were praying at church, and there was a lot of weird stuff that happened in that church back in Tyler, Texas, East Texas, really close to Shreveport, Louisiana, which is supposed to be, you know, this big thing, whatever. So I just remember that we had a late night service because the thought is it's real easy to just simply go to church whenever, or to simply go on a Sunday and not on a Sunday only, because anybody could do that. But to actually commit to something, you know, whether it's a relationship, a job, career path, whatever it may be, right? YouTube. It's really tough to make those commitments, because to be committed to something is to really have a passion for it or a love for it even.
Yeah.
And to love something is to be there, in my opinion, unconditionally. So it's like, even whenever it's inconvenient for you. That's the type of, you know, world and religion, and you know, that's what Christianity is for me. Like sometimes it is inconvenient to pray, and I fast sometimes for multiple days straight. Just a couple weeks ago, I fasted for like 5-6 days ish, right? And like, dude, that was tough, but like, I did it because of my religion, God, you know. So it's very easy to just go on the Sundays, but then we were having service Friday from 7 to 9 was the main service, and then from 9 till whenever it ended. Sometimes it was 9 till 3 or 4 in the morning.
Oh wow. Okay.
We'd pray. We'd pray. During this particular time, and this was one of the most, if not the most, like, you know, what the heck moment, just left and right. Things just got really real, man. So we're praying, and whenever you hear the sounds of prayer of many people coming together, it, for some reason, it gets really clear. So those prayers and those people, you know, very, very, like, just very audible in my head. However, my father, he has a doctorate in psychology.
Oh wow. Okay.
Doctorate in psychology, theology, and one other field, right? Basically, there was this lady who we knew, and she wanted my dad to deal with her daughter.
Okay.
She was kind of a case, right? For lack of a better word, honestly. And my father was just kind of like, I'll talk to her, you know, I'll give her the time of day, but like, I'll see what I can do. I can't promise you anything.
Yeah.
Because many people went to that church, many people were helped, and that's what we try to do. And that's what I like try to do, is not just, you know, preach about how God is great. Well, how is God great now, here and now, right? And again, it's all about that process. People just can't be in it for the one and done miracle. Like, what about progressing? What about being better? Right? So that's what these services were about.
Okay.
And again, these people, many people went in some type of way and went out completely changed. And it's such a beautiful thing, honestly. So basically, we were praying, and with this lady, my father just couldn't get anywhere with her. Couldn't get anywhere, but he knew something was wrong. At least spiritually speaking and mentally speaking.
Yeah.
Something was very, very wrong.
She's like acting different, or like.
Apparently, to my knowledge, or to my recollection, she was just slowly acting. I wish I could find my mouse, but she was just acting erratic, you know, and just like really, really sharp, like intense episodes of like anger.
Okay.
Right here and there, and she would talk to herself as if she was speaking to multiple people. So on the surface, you're probably thinking like, maybe there's like a bipolar thing, maybe there's like a, you know, schizophrenia.
Yeah.
But no, my dad was like, I know what's really going on. but
Yeah.
but you know, he was asked for, you know, providing mental help, so he couldn't get anywhere.
Yeah.
That's where he's legally, because he was commissioned by the state of Texas to provide, you know, mental help. Unless the patient specifically asked for, you know, spiritual guidance, religious guidance, that's where he turns into, you know, Pedro Carballo, the pastor, right? So until then, no, he just wouldn't cross that line.
Yeah.
Until one day, this lady, and I remember her name was Lydia. We're all praying, we're having a beautiful time, and you really felt this presence, like God was in that place. But in my personal life, I always had this feeling whenever something was about to just fly off, right? And you've probably seen the videos where it's just like, yo, like, you know, you were just a kid, and like I was a kid, like trying to tell my parents, but I couldn't communicate well, like, house bad, right? Like, don't buy a house, please, don't buy a house, you know, stuff like that.
Okay.
So while everyone's praying, I'm trying to pray, I'm disturbed. I'm like, what? Like, I get this feeling, I'm like 8-9 years old. I'm disturbed. I'm like, God, what? Like, as a little kid, I'm just thinking, everyone's having a good time, but why not me? You know, like, what's up with this? The loudest burst through the doors that you could imagine, like more dramatic than the Michael Bay film, right?
Okay.
The Lydia steps through, screaming, burst through those doors, screaming, angry, right? Saying things like, "I'm gonna kill you." Looking right at my dad, "I'm gonna kill you."
Oh wow.
Bro.
Yeah.
We're like 70, 80 people.
Yeah.
Could you imagine most of those people just shocked and almost watching?
Just confused. Yeah.
And so, what ends up happening is, like, some of the ushers try praying for her, right? And some of the deacons. And my father, he's like, I'm watch this for a little bit. He's praying, and he's like, try to get this spiritual size up, like, you know, what's happening here, like, you know. So this woman was capable of throwing grown men. Now, I'm not talking like she wasn't a tiny lady, but she was something like maybe 5'8".
Okay.
Not a short lady necessarily.
Yeah.
But she was stocky. She was kind of stocky. But still, somebody who was able to toss grown men with one hand. I'm talking like one-handed action.
Yeah. No
real leg work or effort. Just.
Yeah.
And then that's whenever we were like, oh.
So this is the thing now.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, and so then I was like, oh, this is whatever. This is what I was disturbed about. Oh, right. I'm freaking out. Like, I'm having like a little episode. Myself just like, oh God, please help me, protect me. And like my mom was there. My brother was beside me. Like, just pray. But I couldn't unglue my eyes from that. You're taught to close your eyes whenever, in this case, because what was really happening was this woman was filled with not just one, but many demons. She was, you know, she was possessed. Her will, definitely not her own. Definitely not her own. Because again, apparently she was this kind, sweet lady, you know, this whole thing, but she was just, no, like what we saw was like, that was traumatic for anyone who was probably there their first day, because I'm sure there was like 1 or 2 people who was there their first day. And so I just remember my dad's like, all right, I got the size up. We're good. he starts praying for her, and immediately this woman crashes to. She crashes face first. She crashes face down, right? And then all the deacons, you know, it was a couple gentlemen who were tossing around. They came back, and then they started, you know, going back to the prayer over her. I think probably 30 minutes go by.
Oh wow.
And then where I'm like, okay, cool, right?
Yeah.
No, didn't end there. This woman, her voice was that of a man. A very deep, scratchy voice.
Yeah.
Very low, very on the low register side. So, eyes changing colors.
Oh wow. Gotcha.
Yeah. I hate you. I will kill you. Just all of it coming out.
Yeah.
All of it. And so then, my father prayed over her. It took a good minute. I think more so the episode was about 30 minutes, really. The prayer kind of seemed to have escalated because it was like, oh, she's cool. Oh, like it just happened again. Like she, you know, she's acting up again.
Yeah.
But in that, okay, she's cool. Then we have this teenage youth of ours, right? She was a very good friend's sister. And she starts losing her mind, but not in an aggressive way, but that she couldn't see anybody around her. She sees a room she sees a church and that's lit up, but now she doesn't see people.
Oh man.
So I think
that would almost be more scary. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, because like, how are you going to be in an empty room all of a sudden?
Yeah.
My father went to her immediately, prayed for her,
Yeah.
and that was just done right there. She was in a huge panic.
Yeah.
Where is everybody? No.
Yeah.
And so then we go back to Lydia. That took a little bit of extra time, but then that was done.
Yeah.
It was interesting because after all that was said and done, and I remember being right next to my mother, I was glued to my mother's hip.
Yeah.
I'm not getting away from my mom. Like, you guys can't ask me to do anything. I'm not going to pee. Like, I remember having to pee.
Yeah.
I was like,
Nah,
dude, this ain't happening.
Yeah.
Like, no. And then this woman, she takes off her ring. Very beautiful ring. I think it was an authentic sapphire stone that she had in the middle of it. So gorgeous. And then she asked my mother to throw it away. It was gold, sapphire, something valuable. She's like, but now this lady, she's calm, and she was probably more so what she was like, right? Yeah. Very sweet lady, good manners. She's like, can you throw this away? She's like, what? Like, in my mind, as a kid, I'm like, what? Like, this is
what's going on?
Like,
with what just happened?
Yeah. And so then, my mother takes it. I don't know what my mother did with it. I assume that she probably managed to dispose of it as well as she could, but my mother took it. So then that's kind of where I'm just like, dang, like, I've heard of things, you know, and items and stuff being like cursed, right? The Bible does speak of like certain items being enchanted, but you know, that reminds me of kind of like that house, right? That house had an origin where somebody was sacrificing animals to the devil, right? And I was like, nah, dog, like this ain't it. But like, I don't know.
I've never really experienced anything with like a certain, like a ring or like you know, something specific that would bring a curse or a haunt or whatever you want to call it upon you and the people around you. I think a lot of the times, like, I've noticed that when I go to a brand new place, that something of that sort kind of happens. So the house I live in now,
brand new place though, as in
not like brand new built, brand new as in like I've never been there before. So the house that I'm currently in now, I lived there with my family, and the first night, I had my room set up the whole night, and I never, just like how you were explaining earlier, I never sleep with the door open. I don't know why, it's just my thing. But that night, I felt fine. Like nothing felt off. Like usually, like with these things, like you'll always feel like a little bit uneasy, or just something might be just slightly off with your environment, right? So for me, I was just fine, knocked out. Everything was good. So that night, I've never had like sleep paralysis before, like the whole like can't move, can't talk, but you're able to see and kind of understand what's happening.
Yeah.
I've never experienced that before in my life, and it's about 4 or 5 years ago now. So I go to bed, and in the middle of the night, I wake up, and I'm on my side. I'm kind of, if I'm on my side, my door is kind of like, I'm looking kind of down at my door, right? I'm looking down at it, and it's open, number one, and we have a night light in the hallway. And so obviously I see this light, and I see that my door is open. In my head, I'm like, why is my door open? I know I shut my door. And, and I kind of look around my room, and I don't see anything, and I'm like, what's going on? And I look back, and in the hall, or the doorway, there's like this long, lanky, black figure. And I remember just seeing it for a moment, and I was really scared. Like it, chills. Like you can't move, you can't talk, you can't scream, you can't do anything.
You're paralyzed.
Yeah, you're sitting there, and you're just like, I am absolutely terrified, and I can't do anything about it. I can't even let anybody know that I'm feeling this way. So I'm kind of just looking at this thing. It's not moving. It's not doing anything. It's kind of just standing there as if it was like either looking in at me or looking out at the hall. I couldn't really even tell.
Right.
But eventually I was able to move, and it was like a real quick burst, like everything moved at once, both arms, both legs. And I woke up, and sure enough, my door was still open. There was nothing there. But the feeling that I had throughout at least the first month, like going to sleep, was a little off. And I don't know if it was something saying like, hey, this is my place, or this is my land, what are you doing in it? Or if it's just maybe some following myself and my family, or just a one-time thing. I never know if that's like if that's an actual thing, But following that, I'd say within the following 6 months, so how my bedroom was just set up, the entrance was here into my bedroom. The entrance into my grandparents' bedroom was right next door. There was a small piece of wall that separated them. One morning, I'm getting ready for work, and my grandpa comes out and he goes, "Hey Mason, did you this girl I was dating at the time, did you have her come over last night? Like, did she leave late?" And I was like, "No, I had nobody come over." And he goes, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, why? What are you asking me for?" And he goes, "Last night I saw, because he sleeps with his door open. He goes, I saw like a smaller lady walking out of your room into the hallway." And I was like, "What?" I was like, that didn't even make any sense. I mean, number one, because it didn't even connect to my story, or the first one, And two, I was like, were you seeing things, And he goes, "No, it looked like either like they were short, and it took like really small strides, and he's like, it reminded me of an old woman, is what it reminded me of." He goes, "But I couldn't tell, but I could tell it was a woman." He goes, "So I just thought I'd ask, but all is good." And I was like, "It's all good though," I was like, "This is a little sketchy."
Like, hold up, this is you want to run that by me again?
Yeah.
Like, this is
So it was a little off-putting at first, but as of lately, I mean, that was within the first year, and ever since then, at least in that house, I've never really experienced anything further than that. There are times when like I do get like a weird, eerie feeling.
Is there somebody there before you? For you guys?
So like we're renting it. So yeah. So I mean, obviously it was owned and lived in by the people that are renting it out now. And then before them, I don't know. I don't know when the house was built really.
Because you know it is funny because the house I was living in before here. I don't know if you remember like the El Dorado Park. Dude, what elementary school did you go to?
I went to Watson.
Okay.
For 4 years and then Cozine.
Okay. So not too far from Cozine, if you go up Simmons,
Okay.
right? There's like the whole El Dorado neighborhood and this, you know, establishments and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And each neighborhood has a different name: ranches, estates, all that stuff. I don't know if you're familiar with seeing maybe any of those.
Yeah. Okay.
I lived in ranches for a bit,
Okay.
probably 2 or 3 years.
All right.
Had a room probably just as big as this one, if not bigger, right? Well, I have a lot of stuff to tell about that house, right? Bro, I would hear knocking on the door.
Yeah.
And like, no one there.
Yeah.
And then I would hear it again. And then I'd be like, Pops, like,
So mess with me.
like, you gotta go. You gotta go.
Yeah.
Like, I need you to go check this out.
Yeah.
And so my pops would go. He'd be like, there's nothing.
Yeah.
Now, I am of the habit of sometimes staying up till even 1, 2 in the morning,
Yeah.
right? As there was this time, that was like 14, 15 years old, living in this house, and I know it was towards the 10th grade. I remember hearing someone like land in my room, and by the way, all wood houses suck because of this.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I heard like something land in my room. Like as if
Like superhero land.
like not like full superhero land, but just like straight up, right? And you hear the wood creak, and it's in the corner of my room. I'm like, nah. And I simply, because, you know, again, I'm somebody who's like, hey, like, this is what I believe in. I'm devout and I know, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know who or what you think you are, because I had a bad feeling immediately.
Yeah.
I did not give you permission in this house.
Yeah.
My father did not. And if somebody has opened the gateway, you gotta go.
Yeah.
I said, you gotta go.
Yeah.
Just immediately, just you gotta go.
Yeah.
I felt so much better.
Yeah.
Like after like a good cool 2 minutes. But I knew that feeling immediately.
For sure.
Now it's funny that you should mention your story, because we had some members in our church 2010-ish, 2009-ish. They had little girls, or a little girl, who actually saw 2 people dressed in black. Middle of the night, door open. It's like this whole door opening thing is some sort of like horrible joke, right?
Yeah.
But to me and to my knowledge, that's how many demons dress, is in that all black getup. Because they, you know.
See, mine didn't even look like it was wearing clothes. It literally looked like it was
just there, like a shadowy figure.
I wouldn't even say a shadow. Its outlines were defined.
Oh.
It was like there was an actual being.
Yeah.
Standing there, like it wasn't shadowed. There was no clothes. There was no movement. It was literally like as if it was a statue per se, and the light was shining in from behind it, to where you couldn't make out what the statue was.
Ooh.
That's kind of what it reminded me of. But it was very lanky, like its hips, like pelvic area was really high, so it had really long legs, and had really long arms because the hands went down to right below the knees.
And their feet. Did they have feet?
I did not look at the feet. I didn't look. I just remember seeing really long legs, and I probably saw, or at least remember, from like shin up, and the head was like slightly oversized for the body, as far as it was very like lean, and so it seemed like the head was a little bit bigger than what it should have been on somebody who was that lean and lanky.
Now, as for the short figure, right? because I've seen them of all shapes and sizes. I've actually seen even their skin, how they look. I was going to say this for really another episode, but like this is really just like there now, right? There's this I've mentioned whenever you're in this realm, and you've mentioned experience with it. I've had plenty of experience with it. You're in a world that's gray, and it looks like everything is in its rightful place. You know why? Because you are looking at this world from a different like layer, from a different lens. From a different lens. Yeah. Right. So you even left your room. Whenever I saw that figure that looked like Lisa, I approached her, and I saw her very ugly too, very ugly. But I approached her and stared right at her, and I'm just like, you know, I showed as much fierce, and like as much ferocity as I could, like, you know,
that confidence.
like this is my house, right? So that's whenever that happened. Now going back a little bit, because I mentioned the color of their skin. The one that I saw was pale and palish grayish. I was in this room sometime last year, and my bed was positioned this way. So I remember seeing this thing fast, but I was only able to look over my bed at my side, and I was in this world immediately. But this thing was like moving across the floor.
Oh jeez, yeah.
Like stuff out of a freaking scary movie.
Yep.
And I remember that wherever I looked at it, there was like this light that was beaming down at it, and it would burn it.
Oh wow, jeez.
It would burn it.
Yeah.
And you would see like the freaking steam come up from it.
Oh wow.
So that's like one little thing, right? But going back to those little girls, or to this girl, I believe her name was Callista. We went into this house because it was a new house. The custom is to pray over a house before you get into it. And so we did.
Yeah.
All was great. Everything was cool. But the owner lets in some friends who are a lot less than religious. Not to be overtly critical or judgmental, but like they were people who had much to offer.
Yeah. Right?
Because once you get into this life, you know, you treat people well, but you really have to be careful with who you call friend. Right? So they bring beers, and they bring, you know, all types of like, you know, liquor, and like this was supposed to be a Christian house, and to my understanding, I believe that the owner partook as well. I believe. Right? Which I wouldn't put it past them either. You know, anybody falls or makes their mistakes. That is whatever.
Yeah.
Right? However, now you have these two beings who make short steps, middle of the night, doors open, little girl sees them, walks out to the hall, and just standing right in front of the parents' room, standing right there. Shadowed, kind of shadowed, but kind of more so along the lines of what you described, right? And just like a very oppressive feeling, right? This little girl, she was only like 4 or 5. Poor thing, you know. But she saw that, and our parents were like, "What did you do?" Right. You know, like my dad's like, "What did you do? I just went over there and did what I did. Like, how are you gonna do that? Like, how are you gonna ruin that work?" Right. And so then, they were like, you know, we're sorry, we get it. Like, this isn't something that is just here today, gone tomorrow. Like, this is our life now, right? So we prayed over the house, and everyone was cool again. But that little girl, she went through it. She did go through it for a minute.
Yeah.
So I was basically, that was like,
Yeah.
it was,
So you know how you mentioned like El Dorado and a couple of those other different communities,
neighborhoods, yeah.
So early in high school, I was living in the El Dorado community.
Okay.
And the house that I was in, I don't know how old it was. It wasn't terribly old. Anyways,
They are rather old though.
yeah. I mean, they're pretty old. They're not like 30s. They're not like that.
No,
old,
no, but they're like I
like-
believe that the oldest house, I mentioned my buddy Omar. I believe that his house was built back in like early 90s, I think.
Yeah.
That's a rough
that's
guesstimate.
that's right around the time I was thinking. So how the house was set up, right? There was you walk directly into the living room. There's a very small, short, maybe 4-foot hallway to your left, and then open up to a longer T hallway. Okay. On one end is the master bedroom. On the other end is a bathroom. In between, there's like 2 other bedrooms, but mainly my concern here is that there's a bathroom at one end and the master bedroom at the other. Okay. So I was in the 9th grade or so, 8th grade maybe, and maybe younger than that, 7th grade or so. But it was a Sunday morning, because I remember everybody always went shopping, grocery shopping on Sunday mornings. That was just like their thing, and so they went and did that, and I was like, yeah, screw that, I'm staying home. I don't want to deal with the people. So stayed home. I went into, they asked me to clean the house, or at least some portion of the house. I was like, all right, cool. So I started cleaning the bathroom. So while I'm in there, it's bright. It's a beautiful morning. So none of this even like added up, right? I was very confused with what was happening. So I was home by myself. I'm in the bathroom, and I'm just cleaning off the mirror, right? And I have the door open, and through the mirror you can see all the way back into the master bedroom. In the master bedroom, up on the back wall, there's a lot of windows, like 3 rows of small windows, and so there's light shining through it. So as I'm cleaning this, I noticed like something in the back, like in the master bedroom, and I couldn't really tell what it was or if I even saw anything. And I was just like, "You're overthinking. Just calm down." And so I turned around and I look, and nothing was there. I was like, "That's fine." I look back in the mirror, and now it's an obvious something is there, and I'm like, "Ooh, what is this?" Yeah, I don't know how to describe it. It was like size of a girl, size of a small, like a child or an old woman.
Yeah.
So maybe like 5'1", or like 4'9" to 5'1". That's how
Short.
tall it was. Yeah, it was short, and it was like white, but I couldn't tell if it was white because it was standing in the light or if it was beaming light. Because you know how the light was coming from the back, and I really thought it was like a beautiful thing, and I was I was confused, right? And so like as I'm cleaning this, I see this, and then I turn around and it's not there, and I'm like, what the heck? And then I turn back around and it's about halfway in the middle of the hall, and it looks completely different. It is like it was like it literally got removed from the light, and it was nothing but like this floating darkness, and I was like, no thank you. And I freaked out because I turned back around and it wasn't there again, but I slammed the bathroom door because I was confused. I don't know what, I was young, so I slammed the bathroom door and I lock it, and I get my parents on the phone. I'm like, you guys need to come home now. So within a couple minutes they get home, they come to the bathroom, I open up the door, and everything is fine, and nothing else really bothered me in that house after that. But that was probably one of the most scarier ones that I had. One, because it changed, and 2, because it got closer. I think the closer thing was more scary to me than the change one, because I look at that as just normal human beings. Human beings change, you know, and a lot of the times, you know, you can go from being really bad to really good, or really good to being really bad. So that's kind of like, metaphorically, that's kind of what I thought of it.
Right.
but the fact that it knew that I was a being and I was standing there, and that it had a conscious view of me was creepy. It almost made me think that it wasn't spiritual, and that it was an actual being or something that had brain power. So yeah, so needless to say, I mean, that was a little off-putting, like made me feel a little funky. And then definitely going forward, I was a lot more like locked into those kind of things. I was always looking for that now. Oh, there was one other thing before that. Okay, and this was in that same house, probably 2 or 3 years beforehand. So I didn't even connect the dots. So we used to have this really fat dog. Okay, his name was Sammy. He was a disgusting creature.
Yeah.
Loved him, but he was disgusting. Okay, I mean, yeah. Anyways, so him and we had this other dog named Malibu. And they used to sleep in the kitchen, right? So at night we would have their little bed set up. We would just put the doggy door in between. It had like a little archway that goes between the living room to the kitchen. So we set up the doggy door, a little doggy gate, you know what I'm talking about. And my bedroom was right on the other side of that really small 4-foot hallway. But it was just offset to where if I opened up my door, I could look into the kitchen and see like a 20-degree angle of the kitchen. And then everything else I couldn't see.
Right.
So one night, I am laying in bed and I can't sleep. I'm just wide awake. I don't know what was wrong with me. Whatever. So I'm sitting up and I go to turn on the TV, and all of a sudden I hear a drawer open in the kitchen, because obviously all the utensils you can hear when forks and spoons, stuff like that, clean together. So I hear that and I was like, who is in the kitchen this late? And I was scared immediately. And usually I'm like, it's probably like my grandma. It's probably my grandpa.
Honestly, my first reaction for something that late would be like, who's making all this damn noise?
Yeah, well, yeah. Because I was like, why are you in? And then I checked like the time, and I'm like, it's so late. Why are you up right now? And so I got up, and I remember looking underneath the door because I was scared, and I heard Sammy yelp. And this is what got me. He yelped, and I heard like his chain moving, both their chains, and like the pitter patter of like their claws on the ground. You know, they're on the tile floor, and then like more drawers opening and closing. And I was like, this is crazy, and I started freaking out. And so I immediately get on my phone and I text my mom, who was in the room next to me. I'm like, Mom, you gotta get up. And of course, she has, like, I always keep my phone on vibrate or silent. Of course, hers is on. And as soon as it dings, that stops. And I freaked out. I was like, oh my gosh. But I continued to watch because I was like, if this is a human, if this is a real person, they're going to go to that noise. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to be able to see them. And my 12-year-old mind, I'm like, or 8-year-old, however old I was,
right.
I was like, I'm going to stop them, you know, or whatever. So it stopped, and I texted my mom like 3 or 4 more times, no answer, and I called her, and I can hear it ringing, and I'm like, yeah, I just answered the phone. So she finally gets on the phone, and I'm like, you need to like meet me outside your room, like there was somebody or something that happened in the kitchen. And she's like, all right. So she meets me outside the room, and she's all mad because I woke her up.
Yeah.
We walk into the kitchen, and not every drawer, but most of the drawers and the cabinet doors were flung open, and the dog had thrown up like 10 times all around the entire kitchen. Like 10 different piles of throw up throughout the entire kitchen. And I was so confused, so lost. They had peed themselves. Both the dogs were sitting there beyond scared. And when I think about that, and I try to connect it to later on, like they had to be somewhat connected because there was no human connection to it. There wasn't like the door was busted open or the front door was open or that broke through a glass window or something along the lines of that. There was no signs of that. It was just throw up and like random drawers and cabinets just flung open. So yeah, so it's very, very intimidating. Especially me being like younger and not really understanding how this stuff works. So,
but then fast forward, and then we see you at Sam Ash, and hey, let's have a little conversation, and then like, this might start to make sense now.
Yeah, for sure, man.
How do you feel?
Good. Yeah, I feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you, as far as like hearing this perspective of this, and my stories, like, you feel like where does that sit in your head right now?
So like when you were explaining some of your stories, I definitely I try to see it from obviously your perspective, and like I try to place like how I would feel my, like, obviously we have like different personalities and different ways of going about these situations, and so I think I try to put myself in that position, and I'm like, I don't know if I would have been that confident. I don't know if I would have been that calm. I don't know if I would have done that. But it definitely, when you try to do that, it definitely makes you feel unsettled. So I think at the end of the day, whichever route you decide to take for these happenings, whether you believe the science behind it and not believe it at all, or if you go the spiritual route and you go, this is a demon or something trying to control me or my living area, my living space.
Right.
Either way, I think it's a real thing, and
I mean, at this rate, it's
yeah.
gotta be real.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
There's nothing. It's not a figment. It's not a random blip of thought that just creates this being and creates this whole situation in your mind.
It's definitely no sort of coincidence.
Exactly. And so going forward, and this might be something for like a later podcast, but like I always like to look at like why those are there and what kind of message that is being sent to you, or what it's trying to inform you of, and what it's coming from. So I don't know if necessarily like the mirror one, right? I look in the mirror and I see this, it looked like an angel. I look at it and I'm like, I feel pure. Purity is like, this is,
oh, that's nice.
This is, well, it felt like a blessing. I was like, I'm here by myself and this is an angel like coming to visit me. Like literally that was my thought. And so I turned around and I was like, oh man, it's just the light. And I turned back around, I see this dark thing and I'm just like, ooh, maybe it wasn't. Again, why was that a thing?
Like, good feelings gone.
Yeah. Why was that given to me in that moment? So, a little food for thought. But as far as your stories, I'm probably gonna think about it more often now.
As far as there's definitely a need for awareness, right? Because man, you'll be surprised. Like people be having stuff happening, and I'm going to tell you right now because it's going to sound elitist, right? There will be in very few times and situations like that where you feel like this happened for a good reason. Sometimes people wake up and they hear a voice in their head and they're like, wake up, and there's a freaking fire right in their house, right?
Yeah.
That's different, right? And be woken up, you have that jolt, you have now that instant sense and energy, and it hits you. You're like, well, I'm awake, and what's going on?
Yeah.
Fire, right? Or in my case, right, where I sense those things, and then soon later, right, there it is.
Yeah.
In almost no way will something good ever come at you like that.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna tell you straight up.
No. I agree.
Because in what good sense? Because even God has if God is all good, then what He is going to do has to work out for good, right? Because God would not be capable of evil.
Yeah.
Okay. Dogs throwing up, pissing themselves.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That was like the biggest one.
But you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like there is no way that could be anything, pure.
Exactly.
Or anything like, oh yeah, like grandma's just trying to talk to you, from the great beyond, and like you'll like if you look into it, and some people are like, oh, it's just a spirit guide, just lost or whatever. Like, dude, no.
There's definitely a difference between a spirit that is kind of in this limbo area, can't figure out where it's going or how it got there, and something that is spiritually, emotionally, sometimes physically
causing a torment,
harm to you. So
or to things around you.
Yeah.
Like, because God's a God of order. So what do you have that's opposite is chaos.
Yep.
You look at your kitchen. Chaos.
Oh, for sure.
Right?
Yeah.
I had a little incident, nothing too long, but basically I was up in a camp. It was a church camp. Me and my buddy, I forget his name. Bless his soul though. Great friend. Hope you see this someday. We heard, because if you look, and this is actually something that I could kind of go off script for, but basically, we heard that there is a lady of these campgrounds that's in this main cabin that we had. Nobody was allowed to be in there unless they were supervised, and it was kind of like just closed off. It was nasty and old and nasty, right? Let's see here. And this was in Big Bear, California. Basically, at the front of this cabin, you saw that there was a broken window with the outline of a woman's head, right? But like sideways.
Oh, a profile?
Yeah, like a side profile.
Okay.
Right. So if I find the picture, I'll eventually show it to you. But swear on everything, many people could attest to this and attest to the same fact, right? Me and my buddy, we were there. Dang, it got late real quick.
Yeah.
Me and my buddy, we were there for cabin cleanup. It would also help for a scholarship to be there, because it was like $300-400 to be there for a week. It was cool. You got fed, got a lot of fun, sang, danced around, got to explore the camp, got to swim around, got to do all, you got to do all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
So then, it is just like your instance where it's like ever so instantaneous that it's there, and then it changed.
Yeah.
So then we're there by ourselves and we're near that cabin. And we are just curious because we're like, because I've explained to him some of my stories, and he's like, well, maybe, you're some sort of like search dog. Like maybe something will happen because you're here. I'm just like, these things typically happen whenever you're amongst, one or two people. So let's see what happens. Right? So we see out of nowhere, and this is in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
And where everyone is cleaning, they're cleaning the girls' cabins. So that's probably 2 football fields away.
Okay.
And so we're just like wandering, because we wandered away from the group, but we were familiar with the campgrounds already.
Okay.
So it was Spoopy cabin, girls' cabin, and then some 500 feet away, the main campgrounds or the office and all that stuff, and what have you. So we're there, and then all the freaking sudden, like, sometimes you get what you're looking for, right? We see this woman in a very elegant blue dress, beautiful brown hair, and then we're just like, I look right at him to give him the OSHA look, right?
Yeah.
We look right back, black, evil, just disturbing. right back at each other, right back there, nothing's there.
Yeah.
We turn around and we said, like, this is nope territory.
Yeah.
Gone.
Yep. Yeah, no doubt, man.
We're gone.
I definitely know how that feels, for sure.
There was like a little stairway and like railway.
Yeah.
And this was one of the few times I was able to like slide down like a handrail because
Right.
he was just like, you know, going down the steps.
Yeah.
And I said, right, and somehow stuck the landing and everything. Dude, running for our lives.
Yeah.
But a straight nonstop, just beelined it straight to the girls' cabin.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, you know,
Yeah. No, I
like
get
at
you.
first we're like, dang, like, are we seeing this?
Yeah, this is amazing. And then all of a sudden you look back and
And then it's just like, we're about to stop.
Yeah. That's how it goes.
It's like
man.
doom and gloom, happy feelings gone.
Yeah.
It's like, man,
Yeah.
dude,
Oh yeah, brother.
this is great.
Yeah. Calling it good?
I think we're good.
All right.
How do you feel?
I'm feeling good, man.
Cool. Guys, I hope you enjoyed it. Honestly.
Yeah. Thanks for letting me come in here. I don't know if I think I'm the first.
You
person
are the
to do
first person.
Yeah,
to
so
do
it makes me
this.
feel some sort of way.
Yeah.
But,
no, man. Like, we should definitely do it again because this stuff is ever so.
Yeah, and that was just the
expanding.
surface. That was just the surface.
Just the surface.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're in the dude. It's freaking Halloween.
Oh yeah, it is Halloween technically.
That's like my limit for further discussing these types of things.
Right.
Because like a small little touch.
Yeah.
Halloween in this house, some 4 or 5 years ago. The pictures, family pictures, all just get slanted
Oh boy.
as I walk through the hall.
Oh.
And like, it's like, dude, like, this stuff doesn't necessarily. It's not that this stuff follows me because I don't feel like it does because I'm just like.
Yeah.
But during times like these, and which is why I was also like, hey, we have to talk about this at night because there is a different mood.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, like you know, telling these stories, I'm like getting chills. If we did this at 10 a.m., I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna go eat after this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now you're just like, I'm gonna go curl up and.
Yeah, I'm gonna go drive home for 30 minutes, and hopefully this gets out of my head before I have to go to bed. So,
Bro,
but yeah,
honestly, I've enjoyed every second of this.
for sure.
This was absolutely fantastic, and you know, I'm just trying to at least provide some fun because, bro, like we mentioned a little bit earlier, man, people are down.
Yeah.
Man, people are down.
Just to give something to listen to, and you know, maybe someone probably has the same story or something along
Of course.
the same line. So
I'd love to hear any of you guys' stories.
Yeah.
If you got anything, right? Let us know. But again, you know, I love this, and I'm glad that you came by. And of course, I'd love to have you on again. It's probably gonna be sooner than later.
sure.
You know, so
All right.
we're leaving to Dallas next week.
Okay.
So whenever I get back, I'm gonna go to Central California. I'm gonna be gone for a week. And then whenever I yet again get back, that's going to be like the beginning of December, and then I'm out to Dallas again first week of December.
So it might be a minute.
It's going to be some time. It's
Okay.
going to be some time. But
Well, until then,
dude, we're going to chat.
we'll be
It's
out.
going to be great.
All right.
Man,